Well, thanks a lot, Arrma, dropping two affordable 110 scale ready-to-run trucks at the same time and leaving us with the question, which one is better? Today, RC drivers, we're going to take a look at the Vorteks 550 Mega Stadium truck and the Fury 550 Mega Short Course truck. I'm going to go over their features and differences between the two, take them out for some off-road action, and by the end of this video, you'll be able to decide which is best for you. Arrma giving us two killer-looking trucks. We'll start over here with the Vorteks. Love the body on it, very similar to what we've seen before with the BLX, but you'll notice a big change is no body clips on top. That's because they now have a body post system that integrates in with this little scoop in the front, and then you have the spoiler in the rear. It looks like they got a fuel tank filler. That's where the rear body mount is located, and it has a body clip underneath. You slide that out after unhooking it. It's a little bit tricky to get a hold of, but once you get out of there, the body just slides off, making access to the chassis really easy. Body itself, nice and vibrant. It's available in this orange, or they have a purple as well. And if you see the blue version, that is the version that doesn't come with a battery and charger, which means it's a little bit cheaper. If you're looking to save a few bucks, maybe you already have the battery and charger, look out for that model. Has the roof skids on top, definitely cool for a stadium truck. Over here is the new Fury Short Course truck. This one has seen some changes. We got a little swoopy with this body, large fenders in the front, and then you got the bulge over the rear fender, and a little roof scoop action going on. Doesn't have any body clips. They have the undermount system. Again, a little tricky to get that body clip out, but once you do, you can access everything inside for maintenance. You're not gonna really need to take the body off too much. That's because the battery loads in from the bottom of the chassis. And to access the switch, you just need to stick your hand up inside. You'll be able to get right to it. But definitely like the Fury, I like the texture that they've got in the logo. And then it's two available in a number of colors. You've got this blue version, red, and then they have green. The green version doesn't have the battery and charger with it. Now onto the tires while we're out here. New style of tire up front. The Dirt Runner ST from D Boots. It's a nice soft tire. You can see it's a rib style, and that's what they normally put on two-wheel drive, but it's got some lugs to it as well. Should be pretty grippy. And then we've seen the rear tires before, the Qatar. These are actually a little bit firmer. And then over here, we've got the Fortress tires from D Boots. And these are nice and soft. Mounted to these 5-spoke wheels that look really good. 14 millimeter hexes on both. So just in case you're looking for aftermarket wheels, that's what you got to look out for. All right, let's pop the bodies off and take a look at the chassis. If you're already into the hobby, the chassis is probably going to look familiar at first glance to the Arrma Gorgon, which you see back there on the bench. And it is very close. A lot of the concepts are brought over here, but it is in fact a different chassis, and it's a different chassis between these two models here. We're going to start over here with the Vorteks. This actually has a shorter wheelbase chassis on it. It's a monocoque style, and again, the battery door is underneath. They give you a colored battery door to match the color, or the vibrant color on the body. Two simple clips on the side. You push those down, and you could access the battery tunnel. And inside the battery tunnel, you can see a lot of extra webbing in there, making this a nice strong chassis. Up above you have a separate shock tower, and it's different between the front and rear. It's actually different between the two cars. The Vorteks has a shorter shock in the front than the Fury. You can see that shock tower is just one huge chunk of composite. I like that they've gone ahead here and given us a little clip to hold down the wires. Those are always a little bit of a mess on the other truck, and then they got a clip in the rear, and as you can see, they've got this cover. This is actually a spot where you can go mount a fan. The suspension, simple double wishbone suspension setup in the front. Got nice bulky arms on this, dual shear caster blocks and steering knuckles. This really heavy duty. And then the steering links, those are fixed. The shocks are oil filled and they feel pretty plush from the factory. Let's do a little drop test here. Nice and solid so far. I like that they have dust protectors on the front, and again, they give you preload clips so you could go and adjust the preload of the shocks. For electronics, you're going to get a standard Spectrum steering servo. It does have a servo saver on it to help protect it. Then you've got a Spectrum 2-in-1 receiver ESC combo. And then for the motor, it is a 14-turn brush motor. And then for the driveline, gear differential. There's an idler gear inside and then a top shaft gear that goes out to the slipper clutch. You can see there's slider drive shafts, seal ball bearings throughout. I like that they also have a pinion guide on this to help set the pinion mesh. That's often a problem, and they've gone ahead and taken care of that. And then the short course truck, very similar. Just the only changes are the bumpers on it. You got this really heavy duty short course front bumper, same with a short course style rear bumper, taller shock tower in the front with a longer travel shock to it. And then the chassis is longer. But as you can see, these chassis are much lower than the Gorgon chassis. That has a bit of an arch to the centers. But between the two, it really comes down to your personal preference, which one you're going to like better. The Stadium truck is going to be very nimble. The short course truck, it's got to handle well with its longer chassis for stability. And then of course, you got to decide between the two bodies, which one you like better. But either one I think is going to be a blast. I want to show you some of the other stuff that comes in the package. It's pretty much the same for both. You get a 3300 nickel metal hydride battery pack. That's a 7-cell. You get the Spectrum S120 charger. You are going to need a power supply for that. And then over here, we've got our Spectrum SLT2 radio system, AA batteries for that. You get some Allen wrenches with actually Allen drivers, which is new and very cool. You also get a multi-tool, some shock preload clips, and this right here is your bind plug. You of course get the manual as well. Let's head outside now and see how they do in the dirt. So I decided to go the grassroots route. I'm at Galley Mods Raceway in New York. I'll have a link for this place down in the video description below, but I thought it'd be a great way to showcase these two trucks back to back on the same surface to kind of decide which is best for you, best for me. Let's hit the jump. There's a little bit of a dip before that jump. It just scrubs all the speed on it. Look at this thing. There's motoring through this track. So with this being a two-wheel drive truck, you really have to finesse it through the corners, roll back on the throttle, otherwise it's just gonna want to spin out on you. And I've said it before in other videos, and I'm gonna say it again, a two-wheel drive truck will make you a much better driver because you learn that throttle control. Kind of like that little jump, it pops the front up afterwards, but it just plows right through those rumble strips. The long wheelbase, keeping it pretty easy to drive. It's handling the bumps really well. I hear a little bit of body scrubbing. We got plenty of steering. Oh, a little power slide there. Guys, total dough moment. I just realized it was still on the factory 75% throttle, so now we're up to 100. Let's see how much power this has now. It's got a little bit more punch. See if we can clear this jump now. Now that run up is still just dragging so much power off of it. Love that roll into the corners. That tire just tucks into the fender well. So obviously for somebody like me, I'm gonna be looking for a little bit more power, but I could certainly tell somebody getting into the hobby, which is what these things are really about, is gonna have a great time. I mean, this thing is a solid truck and it's performing really well. All right, we got a switch up here. We're running the Vorteks next. This one's got some scoot to it. So they are geared differently. The Vorteks has a 13-tooth pinion, where the Fury has a 13-tooth pinion, and that's because of the tire diameter difference. But I think it's just helping this one just a little bit more, giving it some speed, getting around the track pretty well. Love that back floating jump, handle that perfectly. Oh, a little loose in the corner. Again, two-wheel drive, you gotta roll it. Gotta roll that throttle. Just about clearing that jump. Just tackle these rumble sections, no problem there. Wide in the corner. Just easy on that steering. Let it float through this. Oh man, this looks so good. I don't know which one is better. It'll slide out in the loose stuff. There we go. Landed on the tabletop, made it easier. Really lay down the power if you just lightly turn it through the sweeper. Whoa, got up on two wheels in the back. So obviously I've driven a lot of cars, but going back to a truck like this with just a brush system in there, nice soft suspension, it's just fun to drive. Fun to see how fast you get around a track like this. I think people are just gonna have a blast with this one too. I think it's almost a toss-up between the two trucks. The speed test time on the Vorteks, stock out of the box, 7-cell battery pack, fully charged, and let's see how fast it goes. Not blistering fast, but definitely fast enough for the beginner. And again, the radio system is on 100%. Make sure you check your switch on the back of the radio because it is adjustable. And we've got 25 miles an hour. That's pretty awesome for that truck. Up next, obviously, is the Fury. So we'll get this thing going. And remember, it's got the smaller tires on it, but it's got one tooth more on the pinion gear. Spin it back around here, and I want to show you guys the drive-by. Here we go. Not blistering fast, but again, definitely good for beginners. Let's see, what do we got? Stop, read. I know I said it, 24. So yep, just a little bit slower on the Fury. All right, so I came over to the dirt lot to maybe wrap this thing up and give you guys my final thoughts on what might be better for you. And we're gonna start off with the Vorteks here. So with the larger tires on it, you got a little bit more ground clearance. So if you got some low grass like this, you can go through it. Always check your temperatures. You could obviously blast through dirt and rocks like this, but the big thing here is you get a truck that could really do jumps and go off some gnarly terrain. This is definitely the way to go. And it's a tad bit quicker than the Fury. And it's actually just a little bit cheaper. With the Fury being a short course truck, you're more limited to the dirt. It's really not your big air machine. Yeah, you get some jumps in with it. But you know, later on down the road, if you plan on upgrading to a brushless system, you're gonna get more airtime out of the Vorteks than you are the Fury. But this thing is a blast on the dirt. It handles really well with the long chassis. It looks really cool. I used to tell people that with the larger body, you get a little bit more protection with the body covering the wheels, the suspension and everything. So if you're looking for a durable machine, I mean, either one is really good, but this short course might be a little bit better for you. The only downside I've found to these things so far is that body clip is really finicky to deal with when you do take the body off of these things. And sometimes the battery tray is a little finicky as well, just getting the battery settled in there. But these things, they're a lot of fun. I'll have links for them in the video description or hit up your local hobby shop to find them.